I really think people just went, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, oh, because I really think in 2020, part of what was so hard about it was, how long are we going to do this? You never knew how long you were going to do this. Health authorities in LA County, the largest county or most populous county anyway in the country, have asked residents to wear masks even if they're vaccinated due to the prevalence of the so-called Delta variant of the coronavirus. We have a statement from the LA County Department of Public Health. I'm going to give you just a couple sentences from it here that, trust me, you don't want to read the whole thing. I don't even want to read the whole thing, but I did. I'm just going to give you these couple of snippets. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health strongly recommends everyone, regardless of vaccination status, wear masks indoors in public places as a precautionary measure. Precautionary of what? We don't know. It seems to me that this requirement calls into question the efficacy of the vaccination in the first place. But, common sense is not generally a government strong suit. To quote again, public health strongly recommends people wear masks indoors in settings such as grocery or retail stores. Apparently they don't recognize grocery stores as retail establishments, theaters and family entertainment centers, and workplaces when you don't know everyone's vaccination status. So until everyone is required by the federal government to have their vaccination status tattooed on their forehead, if you don't know what it is, if you haven't gone around and asked everybody if they've been vaccinated or not, wear a mask just to be safe. This is really interesting. Even KTLA, which is it's a local Los Angeles channel, certainly not a right-wing publisher by any stretch of the imagination. But even they pointed out that the mask guidance is strongly recommended. It's not a mandate. It is guidance. Even and that it's not backed up by the so-called experts. Even KTLA is saying this.
Because it's not. Journalists are supposed to be printing the truth.
That's right.
In this case, they are. It's not backed by science.
Rush Limbaugh used to call these acts of random acts of journalism. That every once in a while they'd get it right despite themselves. KTLA said, quote, the LA County recommendation, which is not a mandate in the nation's most populous county, does not match what the state government and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say, which is that vaccinated people in certain public indoor settings do not need to be masked. And, yes, the state says that, the CDC says that, so does common sense. You don't really need government agencies to tell you that once you've been vaccinated, the mask kind of becomes questionable. So, Grant, do you think this is a harbinger of things to come? If the most populous county in the nation is taking what feels to me like a big step backward in our progress towards normalcy after the pandemic, do you expect more locations to follow suit? What do you think?
I would certainly hope not. I think that if this had been, towards the beginning of the pandemic, we saw things like this happen. We saw when one county, particularly one with a lot of pull like LA County, would do something, then other states and counties would typically follow. I think that at this point, at least I would hope that many counties have realized, this kind of mandate, well, it's not a mandate per se, but this kind of suggestion is not merited. I think that we've seen that with the vaccination, there's not a great threat of getting the virus. There's an even less threat of dying from the virus or getting a serious case. And so I would hope that I think that even KTLA's statement, like you said, that it doesn't match what the public health experts are saying, I would hope that's a sign that, hey, maybe we're not going to go down this road on a national level because we've been down it before and we realized it didn't work, it didn't help anything. As far as the Delta variant, I've got some stats from a Business Insider article. They were looking at the UK, which is kind of where this Delta variant first took off, and the country that everyone's been citing as, this is where the Delta variant has been so terrible. There have been 117 total deaths, 117 out of 92,029 cases in the UK, which is 0.13%. Of people who are fully vaccinated, 50 have died, all over the age of 50. 8 people under the age of 50 have died from the Delta variant. None of them were fully vaccinated. So you see these numbers, 26% the CDC says of the United States cases are this variant. You see these percentages and they seem high, but if you look at the actual numbers, they're still very, very low. People that are vaccinated are not dying, and it's just it's anti-science really to have a suggestion like this. So I would hope that other counties won't follow. But when you look at big counties like LA, maybe New York City, places like that, they may try to be woke enough that they follow these mandates. But I'd hope on a national level we wouldn't get back to anything like that.
You make an interesting point. Last year, it was almost like counties were watching each other, states were watching each other, and they'd see what somebody else could get away with. They, they did this, and the residents didn't rise up against them. No one's been tarred and feathered in this county when they did it. Well, let's do that. In fact, let's do that just a little bit more than they did, and see if we can get away with that. And you're right. I do think the appetite for this is probably a lot less. I think people have run out of patience, and honestly, I think Joe Biden, much as it pains me to say it, gets some of the credit for that, because when Joe Biden came out and said on July 4, you're going to be able to get together, celebrate fireworks, be with your friends in your backyard, barbecue party, whatever, I really think people just went, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because I really think in 2020, part of what was so hard about it was, how long are we going to do this? You never knew how long you were going to do this.